So this time on my low budget travels, I want to go to Thailand. I was originally thinking Bali, but then Thai food inspired me, which is why I'm going there. And I will be wearing zero makeup for this video just because that is something I would do if I were going to Thailand. Well, obviously I would wear makeup there, but I wouldn't wear makeup going to the beach, which is the activity for the video, and I wouldn't. Maybe for the evening eating dinner, I would put makeup on, but I want to keep it authentic because usually I wouldn't wear makeup in the heat because it's too much. So I will definitely go ahead and just be my natural self, which I'm cute, so why not? But today I'm making a stir-fry dish. That is the food that I am making for this month's video, and I'm making it slightly adjusted to my diet because I am on this very strict diet. But you can make it the way you want it. So you can add the meat that you like. I'm adding tofu instead of meat because I can't have meat. But you can go for chicken, beef, pork, shrimp, salmon. You can go for anything. They stir fry everything over there. So you can just choose whatever you like and the vegetables that you like that they have over there, or that is a cheap option for you over here. The cheap option is actually a already prepared wok mix that you can buy frozen in the store. That is the cheapest option for me to buy. So I want to make it as affordable as possible because not everybody has the same amount of money. So I will definitely leave the total cost down in the comments, down in the description box. I always leave the total cost. I don't say the cost of every single ingredient just because that is going to be different in every country. But in Norway, everything is quite expensive, so I would be surprised if your country is more expensive than mine. And I have a very expensive diet as well because it's gluten-free and vegan due to allergies. So again, I would be surprised if you ended up with a higher sum than me. That's just the way it is. But yes, beach and Thai dinner, I don't see how we can get wrong with that. So let's get into making. So I'm going downstairs to the kitchen to make the first part of the dinner, which is the sauce or the dip, whatever you want to call it. I want to marinate the tofu in that, so I need to make it now so that it can marinate for a few hours before I go and stir fry. So I need to go ahead and do that. I will put the camera up so you can see it. I will do a voiceover because I don't want to talk with so many more people around and then you hear them in the background, and it's not fair to them because they did not sign up for a YouTube channel. I did. So see you I will go to the beach. You will probably see me go to the beach first and then me cooking, because I'm thinking the way I would plan my day if I were in Thailand is go to the beach first and then cook something for dinner or go out to eat for dinner. So I will do the film in that order. So I will see you in a little bit anyway. The first thing I'm making is the sauce or marinade, and I am using soy sauce, barbecue sauce, brown sugar, ginger, garlics, and sesame seed. I almost forget to put sesame seed in, and you will see me add that in at the end of making this sauce. And but you can boil it up with the rest of the ingredients. I almost just forgot to put it in. And the reason why I'm boiling it is because I want the sugar to melt and the ingredients to combine in a better than if they were just cold. It's just a preference I have. You have to figure it out on your own. I also don't like feeling the grain of the sugar, which is why I like for it to melt. And I only boil until the sugar is melted. That is all I do. Now I do grate the ginger and then chop up the last bit just because that's easier and it gives a better texture, but you can chop tiny pieces of ginger if you don't want to grate it. I also end up making a lot of sauce slash marinade just because I like to use the whole soy sauce bottle. You do not need this much for the actual marinade of the, whether you have chicken, beef, pork, tofu. I have tofu. And you do not need this much sauce or marinade, but I like to put this marinade or sauce on anything I'm cooking. I like to put it on my sandwich because it tastes delicious. Just keep in mind it's quite salty, so you do not need to add any salt where you put this in because it has such a high salt content. Then I slice the tofu into thin slices just because I don't like when this type of tofu is in big chunks. And that's just because it's unseasoned tofu. It has no flavor to it. Obviously, I will add the flavor with the marinade. But I like for it not to be big chunks because the marinade only covers the outside and it does penetrate a little bit. But if you have bigger chunks, it's not going to penetrate all the way in. And I just don't... Tofu like this is not my favorite. I like it, but it's not my favorite. I'll be honest with you. And I end up using 2 blocks of tofu and I make them into smaller pieces and I marinate this for at least 2 hours in the fridge. You can do this the evening before, no problem. And then the orange little spice that I have is turmeric that I add in the marinade. I didn't add it to the sauce because I only wanted for this tofu marinade. I didn't want it in the actual sauce. You won't see me put it in a glass jar, but you'll see me use a glass jar later in the video where I'm adding something to the wok, and it's this sauce that I'm adding. Then I go ahead and prep the vegetables. Now I think I told you I would have frozen vegetables in a wok mix, and I do have that, but I wanted to add more vegetables. I love vegetables, but if that's not your favorite, just have the wok mix and that's okay. You don't need anything more. I just wanted to make a huge dish. And by the way, this dish feeds a lot of people for a few days. I mean, I ate this for a few days. It was delicious, so I didn't mind. But this is not just one portion. But I do have some bell peppers or paprika, and I have some mushrooms, shallots, garlic, chili, and you can use more chili than I did. I didn't think about how big of a how much food I was making. I could have easily added another chili or all three of them. There was the three in the pack, and it would not be a problem. I could say that I tasted the flavor of chili, but I didn't taste the heat with just one. So if you don't like the heat of chili, just one, you will not feel it at all. Then I have some lime juice that I add in at the end, and some rice noodles. You will see me put it in a bowl, but that doesn't cover, the water doesn't cover the noodles, so I end up putting it in a casserole and cover it with water. And you just want that to soak until it's soft-ish, like gravity will pull it down when you lift it up. Then I have some bamboo, canned bamboo and canned beans, and something that is, maybe I have to put the name in the description box, but it's basically bean roots, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I don't know. Bønnespire is what it is in Norwegian. I don't know what it's called in English. I don't remember. And the wok mix that I have, I don't remember every single vegetable that was in it, but I do believe it had carrots, baby corn. But you can get those in a different variety and with different vegetables, and you can just pick the one that you like the best. You can make your own by buying some vegetables. That is completely up to you, what you choose to do. Direct translation from bønnespire is bean sprouts. If that is a thing in English, I don't know, but the direct translation from bønnespire, it is bean sprouts. So if you have that, that is what I used. When you're cutting the lime, make sure that you don't cut it completely center, or if you do, that it is a bigger lime. And I do cut off a slice, as you may see, just because that is what I want on my drink later. I want like a decorative lime on there. So if you want the same, make sure that the first cut into the lime is not in the absolute center, but just a little bit off, so that the biggest slice that you get is the center of the lime that you can put on your drink. But I mean, that is completely up to you. Then I just fry it in a wok that we have at home. We do have a section on the stove that is dedicated for wok because the flames are higher and more intense. It's perfect for that. And I do wok the tofu first, just because I want that to have cooked through before I put it into the mix later on. So I just fry it to my liking, and then I set it aside to be added into the stir fry later. Because I'm not using meat or raw meat, I can put the tofu back into its bowl when I'm done frying, because there's no residue of raw meat. But if you have been dealing with raw meat, when the bowl that you had with the marinade, when it was raw, unless you wash it, don't use the same bowl to store the meat until you put it in the stir fry again. I am not dealing with raw meat, so I can put it back into the same bowl. Just keep that in mind. I'm just using vegetable oil when I'm frying, and I'm adding some water to make sure nothing sticks to the wok, and to make a bit of a roux so that it coats the vegetable, the flavor, the marinade, the spices, that it coats the vegetables, and that is just not sticking to the wok, if that makes sense. I do put in, now with stir fry, I'm not an expert, but you should put in anything that you want cooked the longest in first. And it is advised from my perspective that you put in the garlic, the ginger, if you have that, the chili first, just so that it puts flavor on the sauce, so that when it coats the vegetable, it will have a really rich and even flavor, more so than if you were to add those later. Now, I like my paprika well done, and the same with onions, so I put them in first. And then I just add vegetable as I go. Now you can see the jar that I was talking about, which has the marinade sauce that we made earlier. I'm adding some more so that everything is coated evenly and it has that flavor and those seasonings. I'm adding some sweet and sour sauce, and I think that is the only thing of seasoning that I put in here. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that when you're dealing with the rice noodles, they are very long. So after they're done soaking and become soft, not too soft, because the last bit of like softening and slash cooking, you want that done in the pan. So you have to make sure it's soft, like gravity is pulling it down when you're lifting it up, but it's not so much so that it will fall apart. Before you put it in a pan, or before you lift it completely out of the casserole, make sure you cut it in half, just because if not, you're going to be dealing with some very, very long pieces of noodles when you're eating, and it's just going to be easier by cutting them in half. I almost forget to add the mushrooms, so I do put them in at the end, and I put the stove on for another minute, and then I just cover the mushrooms completely with the food and put the lid on, so that when I'm doing the dishes, The mushrooms are soaking up the heat. They are being prepared. Mushrooms don't need a lot of time to heat up and be ready to be eaten and be delicious. So this worked out great for me. And because the lid is on, the food is not going to get cold. I'm also squeezing some lime juice from the 2 halves that I had left to add a little bit more flavor, a little bit of sourness. I just have a glass with ice, and then I'm adding some vodka and some tropical fruit juice. I am decorating with my lime and an umbrella, and I have a straw. I love this drink. If you want to add a little bit more tropicalness to it, one thing you can do is that after you put the vodka in, you do half of the tropical juice and half Fanta Exotic. It creates this delicious summer drink. Just a little tip for you. I just wanted the juice for this time. I think that fits very well with Thailand. Just having some tropical juice and Thai food.